are you? When will you get home? Hi, Vanessa. I thought I told you yesterday. I'm at the hospital with Grace today. I'll be out all day. Is something wrong? The hospital again! Didn't you leave the house at about 9 a.m. this morning? It's already past lunchtime. How can you be out for such a long time? How much longer is it going to take? Well, we were on time for our appointment, but it's really busy here today. I think it's going to take a little while longer. There are still a lot of people in the waiting room who were already here when we arrived. I don't understand why you need to take so much time for something like this. You just need to get her a prescription for Grace's medicine, don't you? Why should that take an entire day? You're a housewife. Your job is to be at home to make sure the cleaning and cooking gets done. When you get home, I expect you to have the bathroom clean before dinner time. It hasn't been done since last week. It's disgusting. But Vanessa, I'm sure I asked you to clean it for me this week. You agreed because I knew I'd be busy all day today with Grace. Don't you remember? What are you talking about? I didn't agree to anything like that. These cleaning jobs are your responsibility. You don't have any other work to do. You told us you were capable of looking after the household chores and cooking when you married my son. Why are you telling me now that you can't do this? I distinctly remember telling you that Grace and I would stop by at my parents' house on our way home. We'll get dinner there. If you want me to clean the bathroom when I get home, that's fine, but it'll be sometime later this evening. Is that okay with you? I thought you meant you'd just pop in to see your parents and then come straight home. Why do you have to spend such a long time with them? I don't know where you've got that idea from. You must have completely misunderstood me. I told you that there was lasagna and salad in the refrigerator and you just need to bake the lasagna and put the salad into a bowl. Surely you realized I was telling you that because I wasn't going to be home to prepare dinner. I haven't seen my parents at all this month, despite living about 20 minutes from them. They deserve to see Grace too. This is all an elaborate excuse for you to avoid doing your weekend chores, isn't it? Why is it you always seem to have plans on the weekend? We make plans on the weekend because Grace goes to school during the week. She can't keep missing school to go to the hospital. I told you yesterday, right after I explained about the dinner. My parents' cat is sick and Grace is worried about him, so I promised her we'd stop by and see him. And when I told my parents we'd come around, they asked us to stay for dinner. That's why I asked you to clean the bathroom and finish off the dinner. If you don't want to, I'll text Adam and ask him to look after it. A sick cat? Why should any of us care about a cat? Are you telling me you think you can ask your husband to do your chores and cook his own dinner because you want to go and check up on a cat? Well, yes. It's the 21st century now, Vanessa. I'm sure I can ask my mother-in-law or my husband to deal with their own dinner once in a while. Adam is a great cook, actually. He made me dinner a lot while we were dating. But we've had that cat ever since I was a child, and he's getting old now. To you, he might seem like just a pet, but to us, he's a member of the family. And your granddaughter cares about him too. I don't want her to be sad, which she would be if the cat dies before she can see him and say goodbye. Don't you think you could let this go? Just once? My dad said that he thinks the cat won't be around for much longer, so I'm sure this will be the last time we'll come round to see him. Oh, the cat is dying now, is he? If he's so old, just let him die for God's sake. Well, I suppose if I don't agree to this, I'll be a cruel, heartless witch and my granddaughter will hate me. Is that what you're trying to say? Perhaps I can let this go. But that doesn't change the fact that you're letting me down and failing in your duties as a housewife in my house. As long as you're okay with that, I will be. I'm sure Adam will see it all my way as well. Well, I'm not very happy at being called a failure, but if that's how you choose to see it, I suppose I can't do anything about it. If you'd rather leave the cleaning until later, I can do it. It would mean leaving it until after Grace has gone to bed. but I'm happy to deal with it then. Are you getting angry with me now, Natalie? I don't really like your tone. If you're the kind of person who loses your temper at such small things, what kind of woman do you think Grace will grow up to be? What do you mean, what kind of woman? Am I not setting her a good example? I'm just standing up for myself. I'm not exactly impartial, but I think that Grace is growing up just fine. She's honest and hardworking. Grace is a good girl, so you can leave her out of this. Honest and hardworking? Sure, she's probably those things. But she's so sickly all the time. I barely ever see her doing anything. It's hard to judge if she's a good girl or not. In fact, I seem to spend most of my life being inconvenienced by Grace's sickness these days. Just last week, I had to cancel lunch with my friends because Grace was unwell again. I'm embarrassed to call her my granddaughter. I have to make excuses for her all the time. That's a horrible thing to say. It's not like Grace is choosing to get sick on the days that cause you the most inconvenience. She's not getting sick because she likes it. Young people these days don't know how good they've got it. They're so weak. In my day, we didn't have the time to get sick and lie in bed all day. Personally, I never took any medicines when I was a child. I played outside all day, and that was enough to keep me healthy. If you spend all your time fussing over her and feeding her medicine, of course she's going to act like she's ill. That's how she gets more of your attention. You're both just hypochondriacs. The more you imagine her being ill, the worse she gets. But in reality, she's just a sickly child who needs more fresh air and sunshine. Look, I'm the one who asked you to do the cooking and cleaning today. This has nothing to do with Grace. Grace's condition has been thoroughly investigated and diagnosed by medical professionals. I don't want to hear any more of your convoluted opinions about my daughter. So could you please refrain from sharing them? Thank you. I'm just telling you the truth, however hard it might be for you to hear it. This is why I was against my son marrying you from the start. You're completely incapable of looking after the housework, and you're an awful, overindulgent mother. I knew you would be a terrible choice. Now look where we are. I don't know why Adam won't just ask you for a divorce. He's obviously thinking the same thing as I am. Excuse me? I've had enough of this. Even if you are my mother-in-law, you have no right to speak to me like that. You've said some pretty awful things about my parents' cat, but to insult your own granddaughter is too low, even for you. And now you think you can start talking about my marriage and suggest we get a divorce? You can talk. You're the worst one for judging other people. Is that the kind of attitude a woman should have towards her mother-in-law? I'm done with you. I'll speak to you when you get home. Although at this rate, I'm not sure if you'll be allowed to come home. I'll be speaking to my son about your attitude and behavior today. I think you should expect to hear from him. I can't be held responsible for what happens to you and your daughter. Fine. Speak to Adam. I'll be home late tonight, like I said. I'm sorry. I hope you can manage without me. Good morning, Vanessa. I have a question. Are you busy now? What is it? Have you lost Grace's medicine by any chance? Do you know something about that, Vanessa? I thought you might. I don't know anything about it. I just thought it might be something like that. I never said I knew anything about it. I thought I might have seen you looking for it earlier. Well, I'm just on my way out with Grace, and neither of us can find her medicine anywhere. It's not where I thought I left it, and she says she hasn't touched it. If we don't have it, it's not good. It was expensive, and Grace can't do without it. So if we don't find it, we'll just have to get more. And it'll mean another long way to the doctor's office, I suppose. I haven't seen it since we got home last night, and I left it under the bathroom sink, where I always leave it. If you know something about it, could you please tell me? I just told you I don't know what happened to it. Maybe the sick cat ate it, thinking it would make him better. Look, if you don't look after your things properly, this is bound to happen. You must have lost the medicine at some point yesterday while you were out socializing. You can't make out as though that's my fault. How rude of you! I feel like you're making fun of me. That's really not fair. I'm serious. If we can't find that medicine, Grace will be in danger. Would you be happy if something happened to her and you could have prevented it by being honest with me? If anything happened to your daughter, that would be your responsibility, wouldn't it? And I've already told you many times that I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea what happened to the medicine. Do you have some kind of proof that I took it? Is that why you're being so insistent? No, of course I don't have any proof you've done something with it. I'm just confused. Why would you immediately know I was talking about the medicine before? There's something suspicious about your reaction. Well, it's like I said. I just imagined your question might be something like that. I could have heard you talking about it at breakfast or anything. I feel sorry for Grace to have such a mother as you. What kind of parent loses their child's important medication? You're a completely useless mother and wife. And for you to cover up your incompetence by accusing other people of meddling, that's despicable. Well, I'm very sorry I made you feel like you were being accused of something. I'm just desperate to find my daughter's medicine. If I misunderstood something, I'll apologize. Do you think you can just fix everything by apologizing? That's what's wrong with young people these days. You're either constantly offended by something or trying to get out of things by apologizing. If Grace grows up to be completely useless, it'll be your fault for setting such a bad example for her. I really wonder how long my son is planning on looking after the both of you. Even though you never do him any good at all. I'm sorry for causing such a fuss. If you don't know anything about it, it's fine. I'll leave you to get on with your day. I'll keep looking for the medicine here and I'll let you know if we find it. That way you don't have to worry about Grace. You should have been looking for it from the start instead of bothering everyone else about it. If you can't deal with the housework and cooking properly, I hope you can at least look after your daughter's medicine. If not, I can't really see what the point is in having you around at all. I know. I'm sorry. I should at least be able to take care of my own daughter. I'm sorry for bothering you while you're busy, Vanessa. Thanks for your time, anyway. I don't wish to be bothered about little things like this in the future, Natalie. I hope you can remember that. Just make sure you find that medicine, won't you? I wonder if you're really taking this situation seriously enough. I can't imagine what we would do if something happened to Grace because of this. And it would be all your responsibility, too. I know that. Again, I'm sorry for bothering you. I'm going to run back to my parents' house again today. I won't be late, though. I think I'll get home just after lunch. Again? Is that really necessary? Well, it doesn't matter, because I'm out all day with my friends today. As long as the dinner is made and the housework has been done when I get home, I don't mind where you've been. You can manage the dinner and chores today, can't you? Yes, of course. If it's not done, I'm afraid I'll have to get angry again today. I hate being angry. It takes so much out of me. Please take care and get everything done, because I just want to have a nice, relaxing day today. I'll see you later. Have a nice day. Isn't dinner ready yet? Do you want to make me angry again? I'm really at the end of my tether with you, Natalie. Can you sort yourself out? I'm sorry, Vanessa. I haven't made dinner today. Adam and I aren't at home right now, actually. Did you just wake up? You're not at home. What is going on? Where are you? Do you know what time it is now? What's your excuse this time? You can't just leave the house while I'm sleeping and not leave a note or anything to say where you're going or what time you'll be back. I'm really sorry. Actually, can you take care of your own dinner this evening? We're at a funeral right now. We don't need dinner, so you'll just need to get something for yourself. I don't understand what you're saying. A funeral? Whose funeral are you at? I haven't heard anything about this from Adam or yourself, but it must have been planned. What's going on? Oh dear, Vanessa. I really don't want to have to say things like this to my own mother-in-law, but how can you tell such a shameless lie? There's no way you don't know what I mean. I haven't heard anything. I swear. If you are all at a funeral, surely you would have said something. It's not the kind of thing I'm likely to forget about. Well, we wouldn't be in this situation if it wasn't for you. It's because you do such reckless and thoughtless things that we're here in the first place. You can't pretend that you don't know and think that the problem is just going to go away. What are you going to do about this? What? Wait. Are you saying it's true? I thought it was just a lie to make me feel guilty. How dare you say that? I'd be very happy if this was all a lie. And you should feel guilty, since you caused it. Then, it's true about Grace. This must be some kind of cruel joke. I never intended this to happen. What do you mean you never intended it? Why don't you just come out and say it, Vanessa? It sounds to me like you need to get something off your chest. I'm talking about Grace's medication. I thought you might be. I knew all along you were hiding something when I asked you about it. But this was not supposed to happen. I never wanted to hurt her when I threw it away. I just wanted to teach you a lesson. I thought she didn't really need it. It was a mistake. I didn't really understand what I was doing. Oh, I see. So I suppose you want to apologize and forget about it then? I'm glad to hear that you never really wanted my daughter to die when you stole her medication and threw it away. I think we can draw a line under this conversation now. I need to go back inside. What do you mean by that? I mean just what I said. We're done talking about this now. Like I said earlier, I'm in the middle of a funeral. I think we should talk about this in detail later on. I'll be there straight away. Where are you? Is it at the church in town? Why would you come here? I haven't said I'd like you to be here. I want to go, of course. What kind of grandparent wouldn't show up at their grandchild's funeral? Imagine what the neighbors would say if I wasn't at my own granddaughter's funeral. That's what you're worried about? You're not worried about how your son and I feel? If that's your main concern, we don't want you here. You're not invited. Please stay away. What? I'm not invited to my own granddaughter's funeral. How can you exclude me from that? Do you call yourself a mother? Do I have to ask you again? We'll discuss that and any other problems we have later. I'm very busy right now. I really don't have the time or the energy to deal with you today. This is a very difficult time for me. I would really appreciate it if you would just wait patiently at home until Adam and I are finished here. We'll call when we have time. This is unacceptable, Natalie! Do you think you can get away with treating me like this? Natalie! Why aren't you responding? I'm sorry to keep you waiting, Vanessa. We finally finished with all of our arrangements for the funeral. I think we can continue our conversation from the other day. It's about time! I've been calling my son, and I even called your parents' house, but I haven't been able to get in touch with anyone. How dare you exclude me from my granddaughter's funeral like that? If the neighbors find out that I didn't attend, do you know what they'll think? I won't be able to show my face. Is that really what you're most concerned about right now? I think there are plenty of things I'd be more worried about if I was in your situation. Like what things? There's nothing more important than reputation. Have you forgotten that it was you who threw away Grace's medicine? You're the cause of all of this. I wonder what would happen to your reputation if the neighbors found out about that. Although I don't think it's the neighbors you should be most worried about. Are you threatening me, Natalie? At such a time as this? You've just buried your daughter, but you can still find the energy to be cruel to others. What a heartless, unfeeling mother you are. You don't deserve to be called a mother. You obviously never felt a mother's love if you can be mean at a time like this. You don't have the right to talk to me like that. Don't you think I should be angry at you for stealing my daughter's medication? You had absolutely no concern for my daughter when you did that. You couldn't care less if she lived or died. Luckily, Grace is fine. She's right here with me. What? What are you talking about? You said you were at her funeral the day before yesterday. What are you talking about, Vanessa? I didn't say anything like that. You assumed the funeral was Grace's, and I didn't correct you. I wish you wouldn't just assume that my daughter is dead whenever it suits you. You like to say that I'm a terrible mother, but I think you're the worst. You have no regard for your son's feelings, or your granddaughter's. I could swear you said you were at Grace's funeral the day before yesterday. You can't deny that. That's why I was so shocked and upset. I hardly slept these days at all. If you don't believe me, should I send you a photo? Grace, Adam, and I are all here and we're all doing fine. We're very sorry to have worried you so much. I'll send a picture of the three of us. It's a good idea. It'll probably be the last picture we ever send you. What on earth are you talking about? Was the funeral a lie? No, I didn't lie to you. We were at a funeral all day yesterday. It just wasn't Grace's. I did tell you a number of times, didn't I? My parents' cat was very unwell. It was his funeral we held yesterday. The cat? You can't be telling me you held a funeral for a cat and let me get so upset about not being able to go. You confused me on purpose, didn't you? Well, we were very upset. Even though it was kind of expected. He was getting very old after all. I think his recent bad health was probably just due to old age, and cats don't live as long as humans, as you probably know. But despite all that, it's still a really sad time for us. He was a member of the family, after all. It's hard to have to say goodbye. You can't be serious! Are you making fun of me right now? Why did you make out as though it was my fault you were at the funeral? I didn't take the cat's medicine. Well, maybe not, but the cat died that day we went over to visit him. Do you remember the day I told you we would pop round and you were so rude about the cat? My dad said he died a few hours after we left. What has that got to do with me? I didn't stay for long, because I knew you were so upset about having to fix your own dinner. That's why I wasn't able to be there for the cat's last moments. Perhaps if I'd been there, I would have been able to help. That's why I said you caused it. What? That's ridiculous. You can't try and involve me in something so stupid. Of course I didn't cause your cat to die just by making you come home early. I can't believe I was so worried and it was all for a stupid cat. He wasn't just a stupid cat for us. He was a precious member of our family. Oh, come on. You can't call your cat a member of the family. What's the point in being so sad about a cat? You don't sound too upset about it. Well, we knew it was coming, I suppose. We were kind of prepared for it. And we've been so distracted by the whole mess with Grace's medicine, which you did cause. I guess we haven't really had time to feel sad about the cat. Now what are you talking about? How is that relevant? I wish you wouldn't make me repeat myself so much, Vanessa. Are you having trouble following the conversation or something? I'm talking about Grace's medication, which you stole and threw away. When Grace's medication went missing, we had to drop everything and sort that out. Of course, as Grace's mother, I don't think I can let that go. That's all over now, isn't it? There's nothing wrong with Grace. Nothing happened to her. How long are you going to drag this out for? Yes, you're right. Nothing happened to Grace. But that's no thanks to you. If I hadn't worked so hard to replace the medication in time, we could very easily have been at Grace's funeral the day before yesterday. I suppose you're right. It's all over. It's certainly over between our family and you. What do you mean? Before you mentioned the last photo you'll ever send. Are you trying to suggest you don't want me around anymore? Do you think I'm the only one who's angry because of what you've done? I'm not the only person in this family who loves Grace and wants to keep her safe. Your son and my parents are also saying they have no intention of forgiving you over this. I should thank you for confessing to stealing the medicine. Now everyone knows what kind of person you are. You've told them all everything. I didn't need to tell them, Vanessa. They were with me at the time and they all saw your messages. We've decided not to come back to your house. We'll move all of our stuff out when we find a new place. It shouldn't be too long. I don't want any more to do with you, and I don't want you anywhere near my family. What do you mean by family? Are you including my son in that? You have no right to dictate whether I can see my son or not. I'll never agree to that. You've got no choice. This is something that Adam has decided. You put our precious daughter in danger with your reckless prank. There's no chance he or I will ever forgive you. She wasn't in any danger, though, was she? Nothing happened to her after all. You're blowing this completely out of proportion. There's really no reason for you to be so melodramatic about a couple of boxes of medication. She can actually survive just fine without it, can't she? It's as I suspected all along. You're just making a big deal about nothing. That's not what happened at all. Grace and I had to go straight back to the hospital as soon as we could and get another prescription. It was terrible. I had to take time out of my already busy schedule to do something I'd already done once, and I had to pay an excess for the emergency appointment. She can't just get a repeat prescription. She has to go through the whole process each time so the doctors can give her the correct dosage. You don't seem to understand how much of a problem you caused. But still, it was fine, wasn't it? She got her medicine and nobody was in danger. You can't punish me like this just for causing you a slight inconvenience. It was not fine. This is not fine at all. It's not like this is an isolated incident. And it's not just about Grace either. You've been making my life impossible for the whole time we've been living with you. And you even went so far as to ruin a very important day for our family 2 days ago. If you would just take a moment to check yourself, you would see how selfish you've been. You can't divide me from my son at my age. What would I do? I can hardly look after myself. You will have to try and look after yourself. I'm not responsible for this. Adam has decided he doesn't want you around anymore. At your age, you should be able to tell the difference between what is acceptable behavior and what isn't. You've brought this on yourself. You can't avoid that. We cut all communication with my mother-in-law shortly after that incident. Although Vanessa hated Grace and me, she had always loved my husband and he was her only child. She really didn't want to stop seeing him, and he said she tried very hard to convince him not to cut ties with her. Apparently, when he was moving our stuff out of her place, she spent the whole day following him around, crying and wailing and shouting. I never started any rumors myself, but I heard that after we moved away, all the neighbors were talking about what Vanessa did. I think she moved to a completely different town just to escape all the gossip. I'm sure she didn't enjoy having to start over somewhere new, but that's life. When a member of your family dies, it can be really distressing, regardless of whether you expect it to happen or not. However, when I consider a person like Vanessa, who acts so heartlessly and never thinks how she might hurt others, it doesn't really bother me what happens to her. I'm glad we don't have her around anymore. I was afraid if we always lived with her, She might start influencing Grace with her bad attitude and mean personality. I think if someone makes fun of their family for feeling sad about a pet, that person probably doesn't deserve to have a family. What with that and the incident with Grace's medication, I think she definitely brought this on herself. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe for more content. See you next time!